Hey everyone, today we are back in the workshop with a brand new parcel which has a brand new laser for us to review. This is the Atomstack Maker A30 Pro. Let's go. Okay, so this package literally just arrived. Let me put it down here and explain to you what it actually is. So this is the Atomstack Maker A30 Pro diode laser. And the interesting thing about this unit is that it comes with a 33 watt diode laser unit attached. And this is kind of really interesting because traditionally when it comes to diode lasers, you usually had one diode in a laser unit, and using lenses and different circuitry, you try to pump out as much power out of that diode. Now, a lot of manufacturers have been using multiple diodes and taking the combined energy, focusing it, and being able to push diode technology to a much higher level. It's really, really interesting. And this laser head has supposedly well, not supposedly, it has 6 diodes that are combining the energy to actually cut through material a lot quicker and a lot faster. So I'm going to go over, start the unboxing. I'm going to take you guys with me, and let's take a look at what this Atomstack Maker A30 Pro can actually do. So here's the box. It's a big box, so let's open it up and see what's in there. So we've got some foam padding, which always helps. And we've got some manuals. So we've got the Atomstack Laser Engrave app manual. That's interesting. I'm gonna take a look at that. Another manual. And as Atomstack always likes to do, we've got their actual manual on assembling the machine and using it. So we'll definitely use that. We have here a cutting mat. This is a giveaway. When cutting, please put it between the object to prevent damage to the surface table. Thank you so much for that. And we've actually got the laser. So let's see what we've got here. First of all, we have some eye protection, which is always important, especially with these diode lasers that don't come with any sort of cage or protection. Okay, I don't even know where to begin. This looks like a very interesting piece, so let's start here. Let's remove this. I got a feeling this might be the gateway. No, this is the rail. So you can see all the different measurements. That's the first rail. And I assume this is the second rail. This is all wrapped up, so I'm going to leave it like that. Let's put that to the side. Got some more stuff here. Okay, so we've got a little bag full of tools. We've got some nuts and bolts. We've got some spacers. We've got a USB key. So that's all the little bits and pieces. Some cleaning cloths, always handy. Anything else in here? Got something else just in here. This is the Atomstack Maker screen. Check this out. This is kind of cool. I didn't realize it came with a screen. So this is the unit, and it's a little LCD screen. Definitely going to use that very soon. Anything else in here? No. Let's. I'm like a kid on at Christmas. I'm like trying to open up and see exactly what's going on. All right. So now this happens to be the rail for the laser. You can see it's already. Wow, it's really, really well packed. Let's pull this out. It's all assembled. You can see it's been checked, certified. And you can see here we've got all the different wheels. There's the stepper motor. I'm assuming that the laser would actually go in here. I'm going to just put this gently aside. We don't want anything to happen to that. Continuing on, let's take a look at what's in here. I've got a feeling this may be the laser unit. And there we go. There's the Atomstack laser unit. See, laser window. And this is the C11. I'm not too sure exactly what that means, but I'm sure we'll get into it in a very short while. You can see here there's a tube interface here for the air assist. So let's put that back into the bag. We have an adapter, which is interesting because that's not going to work for us, but thank you anyway. We have a USB cable, We have a focus pad. So this is interesting. This is how you focus the laser, the way 2 and way 1. This must be attached to the laser unit. Looking forward to attaching that. We have some more cables, which I'm assuming is for the electronics. Lots and lots of different cables. There's these cables right here. I actually attach to something in here, so I'm not going to push and pull on that. There's also something down there, so let's leave that. It's like, ooh, let's see what else is going on. Let's open this up, and here we have, what is this? This is this unit right here. Let's see if I can get it out. Well packaged. Okay, so this is the Atomstack Maker. This looks like the air assist. Look at that. That's a kind of a nice labeling there. It's a standalone unit. You've got the tube interface, 24 volts right there. And over here, you've got the on-off max. So this must be the air unit. It's a pretty solid unit. Actually, looks beautiful. So we will put that aside. So we have 3 pieces. So we have 3 pieces here. These would be the feet. There should be a 4th one, but it looks like there's only 3. So we'll get to that when we assemble the machine. We have some tubing, a power cable, I'm assuming this is for the air assist. Nice little brush here. Anything underneath here? There is. It's like one of those advent calendars. It keeps giving and giving. So this is the power supply. So you've got your power supply here. Awesome. Okay. That's the control box. Awesome. So that's the laser's controller. You can see here. It says, please cut the cable before ties. This would be the control box for the laser. You can see, I've got a feeling this also acts as that 4th foot. So we have a little aerial here at the back. We have an on and off, reset, and an emergency stop. Obviously you've got to cut that off so that that can actually pop up so it gives power. And obviously all the cabling that goes along with it. Oh, more pieces. There you go. So we have the other rails. We have the Atomstack Maker A30 Pro, and we have these 2 rails. So I'm going to start assembling the laser once I put everything out on the table. I'm going to leave the laser unit in here just temporarily so nothing gets damaged. And let's see how easy this machine is to put together. So now that I've got everything laid out, I'm going to put this machine together. I'm actually going to use the instructions, and just like all my other reviews, I'm going to do this first time. I haven't checked out anything before. I've literally just taken it out of the box so that you guys have a good idea of what is needed to assemble this machine. Very first thing I need to do is assemble these 4 pieces which make up the main body and the work area of the laser. So I need to get some bolts out. And what I like about this is it has a whole bunch of tools, so you don't need anything else. Some tools in there. Let's see if I can find the bolts needed. And again, I like the fact that this sort of stuff is actually all labeled. So let's start with the step 1 screws. We'll put the step 2 ones over by the side. I'm going to open this up because I'm going to need the Allen keys. Have all my tools. And following that first step, we need to put this logo side up, which is interesting. So let's unwrap this. I've got a feeling because of the graphic here, it's all nicely wrapped so it doesn't get scratched. Now the second piece has to have the label up. So let's see what that is. There we go. And this is the label up. So you've got obviously a warning label and a label here showing what the model is. So we're going to place that down as well. And then we're going to use these other two pieces. So that's one. Now this piece has obviously a sensor here. That's a homing button. So I want to make sure that I've got that in the right place. This is one that has, okay. So what they've done here, let me explain. This piece has a whole bunch of measurements. The other piece, this one, does not. So I only saw that by looking at the picture in the instructions. It would be nicer if it was a little clearer, but let's open this one up. That does explain the difference between one and the other. We have this piece. Might need a little bit more room. Just checking, yep. And then we have this piece. And the next thing I want to try and work out is what the orientation of this piece is. It's probably this way. It would be this way because this is the home. This would probably be the home button. And this is 0. So I would say it's like that. So let's take our screws. Let's start feeding them in. We'll start up here. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. All right, so I've already made a mistake. I've actually put these on the wrong side. So I need to flip this piece around, which I'll do right now. Take the bolt out and we'll flip it around. And in fact, this even makes it a little bit more sense that this is actually, the bolts go in and they're actually countersunk. So that's the way I should have done it first time. Hopefully you've learned from my interesting exploration. There's no such things as mistakes, only solutions. Now there's an old trick about how to actually tighten up something to make it square. You want to tighten the diagonal bolts first to pull the frame together. So I'm going to do the outer one first, up here. And it's not tight, but it's enough to hold it. I'm also going to do the outer one on the opposite side. So we've got these two done. I'm going to move to the top right-hand side and also tighten that one. And then the bottom left-hand side. And once those are tight, I'm going to go around and tighten the inner the same way. Each one going diagonal. Awesome. That's obviously the size of my cutting area, which is 400 by 400. All right, let's get to the next step, which is assembling the feet. So we're going to grab these guys. So we're going to grab these guys and we're going to place these on. We also need the control box, this one. So I was right, this control box does end up here. So it does kind of create the foot in that space. So let's place that there. What else do we need? We also need this upper piece here. So we're going to slide this on as well. So I'm just going to leave that resting. Actually flip this around. so you guys. So I've got some access, and I'm going to use these pieces, place them on. One there, and one there. So for these, I'm going to use the step 2 bolts. I'm also going to work out where these go. Now I would love Atomstack to give me a little bit more information when I'm doing this, because their photos are kind of like an exploded view. But let's give it a shot and see what we can come up with. To show you what's going on, I'll put this on the table. There are 2 holes that match up with 2 holes here. In fact, we need to make it that side. So I'm just going to put some bolts in there. The bolts are long enough to grab. So that way we'll actually have the frame lifted from the table. The top 2 are done. Let's flip this over. Place it back on the table. Go back to our manual. Now it's talking about placing this rail, sliding it in, but you can see here that there's a 3rd wheel here, and I believe a concentric nut. What happens is this nut, as you turn it, it's off center, so it either pushes that wheel forward or back. And I believe we have to just work out how much we need to turn that before we slide it on. I'm just going to walk through this, because I don't want to make too many mistakes. So it says here that the guide rail, which I'm assuming is this, passes through the 3rd middle roller. So I'm wondering if it, the guide rail passes through this roller. Okay, so I can see what's going on here. Ah, okay. So again, I'm going to turn it here. I hope you guys can see that this is spaced so that we've got a wheel at the bottom, a wheel at the top, and that's that 3rd wheel that we want to make sure fits on properly. We want to also make sure that the laser unit here is on the right side. So let's, which is forward. So it's a little tight, but it still did go on. That's also interesting because we have this little piece here, which is not going to allow us to get past that, which is really interesting. It's going to be a lot easier to take these front pieces off than it will be to take this piece off. Now I have to make sure that the laser is facing towards the wall. So I need to slide it on this way. Which I have. And I can slide it all the way down, perfect. And that's in its home position. So with that done, let's reattach the plate. Excellent. Let's now turn this around. Double check that that's in the right position. So, yep. And let's work on the feet here. So I'm going to place this foot in here, and then we're going to attach the control box. Now I'm going to use the control box here. So that's the control box for the laser. The first one, I'm just going to leave that a little loose so that I've got a little bit of play. And then I'm actually going to use a smaller screw on the side here that's going to feed straight into. There's actually 2 of them. So the first one. Okay, for the next step here, we're going to put some track belt. So this is basically the belt that's going to loop through and around so that the motors can pull the gantry backwards and forwards. many different ways to do this. In this case, and in this design, we just get one piece of the belt. We're going to feed it through, and then we're going to hold it down using these T-nuts, these things right here. I haven't done that before, but it's a unique kind of design. So I'm going to move this way, and I am going to show you what I'm going to do. So I need to lay out that track in this slot. I actually need to make sure that it's turned around so that the teeth will actually match a little bit of a gearing that's right there. So I'm going to lay this down first. I'm going to turn this so you guys can see. And I'm going to work on this end. And I'm going to take the T-nut and I'm going to slide it in and lock it down. So I'm going to slide the T-nut in here. And I'm just going to make sure that I can get the, so getting caught. I can adjust it later. You can see there's a little piece out there, so I'm just going to pull it right up. So it's in there. I'm just going to slide this down a little bit. And now that it's there, I'm just going to tighten it up. You can see here, as I've tightened it up, you can see the buckling in the belt. I've actually squished it too hard down, so I'm going to open this up a little bit. Just to the point where it lies flat, and I'm just going to tug on that, and it is locked into place. So now I'm going to feed the belt through underneath this wheel, bring it up around, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. So we're going to bring this belt under here. I'm going to again use the Allen key just to bring it up, so I can pull it taut. Second. So we've got it. So we've got it now. I'm just going to bring it through. We're going to loop it up over the bar onto the teeth. And then back through. And at this point, you can see when we're running it back and forth, it's actually transmitting the energy from this motor here, allowing us to be able to move that laser head back and forth. Last thing we need to do here is bring the last T-nut in, slide it under, tighten it up. I'm just making sure that it's nice and tight and everything moves smoothly. Turn that T-nut up to just before the point where it's going to buckle. Then with a knife, just cut the excess belt. And now we have everything ready to go. That laser assembly needs to go on here, but the actual gantry is all ready to go. Next thing to do is actually to place this piece, which I believe is the focus pad for the laser unit. This actually clips on right on the side here. When you place it on, there's no magnet or anything like that. I'm going to address that. I don't really like that this is just kind of sitting there. It's not even friction tight, but I guess that's where it needs to go. I'm going to try to address this. I want to see if I can put some sort of fastening system there so it won't move. And the next part that we need to do is take the screen. This is the Atomstack Maker screen. Take the cover off. And this is actually magnetic, so it clips directly onto the front. I like that idea that I can actually move it around. I place it down, see how that works in a practical way. It comes with a cable. So I'm going to open the cable up and connect it. They're both HDMI cables. So one obviously goes into here, and the other one goes into the HDMI socket. That's the next step done. Okay, so the next step I need to do is take all these cables here, which control all the different motors around the gantries, and I need to connect them up. So I'm going to separate them here, they're all bundled up, and then work out where they all go. Now, in the manual, it has two very, very small photos here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to work it out one at a time, and I will show you what I'm going to do. So at this point, before I actually start tying all of these with a whole bunch of zip ties, I'm actually going to add the laser unit on, because the last piece here controls the laser. So let's remove the sign and let's get the laser unit onto this piece. So this is the laser unit. There's a bolt on the back of this unit right here that we can tighten up to work out the depth against this plate. So I'm going to undo that, slide it in, tighten it up, and if you come and look at the top here, you can actually see the port for the controller. So all I need to do is just make sure that goes in, wiggle it in, and that is now connected. So now I'm going to do some cleanup, just tie up some of these cables. There are places that the manual shows that we can tie up some of the cables, make sure that they're free to be able to move back and forth, but also that they're not going to trip up the movement of the machine. So we're going to do that with these cable ties and these really, really small pictures right here. What I'm judging here is to make sure that that cable doesn't get in the path of the laser as it's operating. We've now got the machine completely assembled. You can see we've got the laser unit, we've got all the wiring. I've actually changed a little bit of the wiring just to make sure that it's out of the way of the laser when it's actually operating. Assembling the pieces out of this kit took me around, I'd say about 45 minutes to an hour. Now, if you haven't put a kit like this together before, it might be a little bit complicated. The documentation that comes with the laser is the images that show you the steps is quite small. I did find that I was pulling out my phone and taking photos and kind of zooming in to understand the steps. So I'd really like to see Atomstack develop a clearer method of instruction to put this together. Obviously, I've done this before, so I understood the steps that are needed, but if I'm a beginner and this is the very first laser that I've invested in, I'd be confused. And that actually held me back. I think that we could actually put this laser kit together in about 30 minutes with a few easier steps, and I hope that this video actually will help anyone who invests in this kit. So now that everything's assembled, I just want to run some power to the machine, set it up on my computer, get it hooked up to Lightburn, and run some tests. But in the manual, there's nowhere that talks about actually hooking up the power supply to the laser unit. This is a little bit disappointing because as I went through the last parts that were in the kit, I found this thing right here. Let me show it to you. And this thing happens to be a splitter for the power supply. So obviously this end goes into the power supply like this. Two male ends, one that goes into the machine here. And I started asking the question, what do I do with this one? Went through the manual a number of times, couldn't work it out. And then I remembered that when we unpacked this kit, there was a whole bunch of different things. I remembered in the kit, we had this guy. This is the air assist. And the air assist has, at the back here, a 24-volt port for the other male to go into. Great. Except this was my very first kit, or very first laser, and I didn't know what the air assist was all about. There's no documentation on how this works, how I use it, or even how to set it up with the laser. Atomstack while you've made an incredible kit, an incredible laser with a lot of power, love for your documentation to talk all about this air assist. Now, I don't know if this air assist can be purchased by itself or if I could go on the internet and find some information about this. But right now, there is no indication on how to set it up straight out of the box. I obviously know what this is for and how to use it, so I'm going to set it up right now. I'll show you how to do that, and then we will see what else we need to do to get this hooked up to my computer and to Lightburn. At the back here, there is a tube interface. So all I need to do is just push this rubber tube into there. Replace it. For the sake of this video, I'm going to actually point this part of it towards the camera so you can see what's going on. I'm going to take my power supply, place one into the main laser control. I'm going to take the other one and place it to the back of the air assist. Take my power cable, plug it in, plug it into power. Now the other thing that I needed to do is to clip off the emergency button, and when it's sent to you, the button is actually depressed. To get power to this unit, you need to actually turn it so it pops up, and this is the emergency button that if you have any problems with your laser and you need to stop it in a hurry, all you need to do is slap that button down and it will cut power to the unit. We'll turn it, press the button, and we have power. Now this is quite neat. There's a little screen here. You can hear the fan going in the laser unit. And in here, it gives me, well, first of all, it sends me a message. And the message reads, laser creates more possibilities. I like that. I am totally on board with that. It gives me two options here. A carve option, and if I press it, because it's a touch screen, it says to me there's no SD card, which would go right here. So there's no jobs in G-code that the laser can run straight away. Let's go back. In the settings, it has a touch tone, so I can turn that off. And then when I touch something, it doesn't make that little beep. I like the beep, so I'm going to do that. And then there's an about area. The about tells me that the machine size is 400 by 400. Going back again, I can also choose the languages between Chinese, English, and Japanese. While we're here, I'm going to show you that emergency stop as well. So I'm going to hit that, and you can hear that the power is cut to the laser unit and to the screen itself. So there's no illumination here. Twist it, turn it back on, and you can see the laser starts up. So that's great to have. Personally, don't know about this little power cable. I don't like the fact that it might get in the way, but you know what? I can always address that later. There's also a reset button here that just resets the controller, and you can see in the screen, it's now going through its reset phase. So there's three ways to power the machine, obviously. The main button, which I'm going to turn off here, the reset, and in emergency, cuts power to the laser straight away. Now the last thing that I want to discuss before we actually hook the laser up to my computer is the air assist. Now I'm going to turn it this way so you guys can see. Normally, obviously, it wouldn't be in the area that we're actually going to cut anything, but we have the air tube that runs all the way to the top of the laser unit. And we have this little dialed switch, which goes from off to maximum. And I want you to hear this. I'm going to turn it on and turn it to max. And you can actually hear there's a fan drawing air in where this grate is. It goes all the way to the top. And if I were to put my hand underneath here, I can feel air, very cold, a lot of it going through the laser head. And I can actually adjust it by turning that dial. If I want it off, I turn it all the way off. What we found is that with air assist, you get a cleaner cut, less charring on material, as well as if there happens to be a little bit of an ignition before it actually catches the light, the positive pressure can put it out. I tend to use air assist a lot, given the fact that this laser is pumping out a lot of energy. I like the fact that this unit comes with the kit. I just would like a little bit of documentation on how Atomstack would like you to use this in the cutting process. Now that we've got all of this set up, I'm going to grab my computer and let's see what this machine can do. So I've got everything hooked up to the computer. Just to let you know, all I needed to do was place this USB into my computer I am using a Mac, and that means that I do have an extra dongle just so that I can get the USB standard kind of USB connector into the Mac, which is a USB-C. I don't know, I don't think you guys can see it, but it's right there. I do have on my screen here Lightburn. I am going to set up this with Lightburn. You can hear the lasers all up and running. I haven't got the error assist going yet. First test, I'm going to use the settings that are coming from the Atomstack website to engrave a laser tile. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to go here and select the Atomstack A30. I'm now turning on the machine, and I'm going to the console because I want to make sure that this can work. Now it's telling me ports failed. What's going on here is we actually need to turn that to the USB serial. And the minute we do that, the machine comes online. Awesome. I also prepared our first tile, so we're going to import that. There we are. Now I'm just going to quickly select all of them, move them around. If you're interested in learning about tiles, I'll put a link to a video that talks all about it. Now it's pretty much in the middle. I'm just going to size it up by using the tool here to see if we are even close. It looks kind of in the area. So let's frame it. You might have seen that on the laser, as it was framing, it actually turned the laser on just to give us an optical idea of where the lasers are going to actually do its work. That's actually not something that comes standard with the machine. That's something that you can do in Lightburn. And if you're interested in setting that up, let me know down below and I'll do a tutorial. Now that that's all set up, we just need to focus. So I'm going to show you how to work out the focal length for this Atomstack A30 Pro laser. Let's do that now. So to set up the focus length, we're going to use the focus tool that's provided from Atomstack. It sits just here. You can see here, it shows you the different ways you can focus with this tool. We are leaving the window on, which just happens to be here. So we're going to use it in the second way. And what we need to do is, this is the physical distance needed so that we can get a proper focus on the material in here. So to do that, we place the tool down. I'm going to manually move this across. And I'm going to undo this piece so I can lower this. I'm going to do it one-handed. And it's actually quite heavy, so I'm glad it didn't fall too far, but it did. Just going to rest it on that piece. So I don't know if you guys can see, but it's just resting. Just going to tighten that piece up. I don't want to move the tile because we've got it all lined up. Oh, it's dragging. Hang on a second. Let's see if we can do this without damaging the surface. Yep, perfect. So we've got that piece now focused. Going to put the focus tool back where it needs to go. And we're going to go back to Lightburn and run the job. Just a quick note on safety. This machine is open. There's nothing protecting it. So before we start the job, I'm grabbing the glasses, the safety glasses that came with this machine. These are rated for the laser unit. So let's put them on. And I'm going to wear these while the job is actually running. Now, if anyone else comes into the space, and obviously I have the door behind us open, making sure that no one is coming out, because if they can see the beam, if they can see that light coming out, then there is a risk of potential eye damage. This unit does have a little box just here that does have a filter over it, and obviously that lessens the risk. But when it comes to safety, and especially your vision, when it comes to laser light, don't take the risk. Always wear your safety glasses. and that's the job done. So we've done our very first burn. I haven't touched the tile since it's done. You can see a couple of things here. You can see there's a difference between the bottom part and the top part. Top part came out really well. I did have a problem with the alignment, but that was really due to my enthusiasm of getting the first cut done on the laser. I probably could have spent a little bit of time making sure that that image was actually aligned properly. So we've got a little bit of the top of the laser live stream logo kind of cut off. At the midpoint, I turned on the air assist and I turned it on all the way. And you can see the difference. It blew away a lot of the paint, giving a much cleaner surface for the engrave compared to the bottom. Now that shouldn't be an issue, to be honest with you. I'm gonna grab some H2O, some just normal water and a paper towel, and I'm going to clean that up, and I'm gonna show you the results with and without air assist. So that will give you guys a much better idea about how the air assist can work with your laser projects. So I've got the tile just on my workbench. This is just normal H2O, it's just a squeeze bottle. I'm just gonna put some on the rag like this. And all I'm gonna do is just, look at that, almost instantaneously. You can see that as I clean it up, you have a pretty good result. I am actually pretty happy. That's literally straight out of the box with the settings. You see the Atomstack at the bottom is a little darker, just a little darker because we didn't have the air assist on. And you can definitely see, I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera, but I can see just a very slight area. And look, you can see that's the paint that just came straight off. So I tend to kind of wipe everything down anyway. I wonder if I wipe it down a little bit more, it'll come through. As a first test, I'm incredibly happy with that. Again, the only thing is there's a little bit of a gap at the bottom here, and I was planning to have a little bit of a header on there, but this machine works. And for a laser tile, this one took me just under 10 minutes. It was a 9-minute burn. I see a lot of future tiles being made on this machine. Let me just let's turn off the air assist so you guys can see me, and I'm gonna show you the screen. Because this is interesting, we're just coming towards the end of the job, and the laser stopped, just stopped. Not too sure what's going on here, but I went back into the console that's in front of you here. So it says here, homing, okay, stream started, that's when we started the job. Layer extra, that's the layer that we were working on. And then it says job halted, stream completed in 000, and then it says alarm 3. Reset while in motion. GRBL cannot guarantee position. Lost steps are likely. Rehoming is recommended. I'm not too sure. I've never come across alarm 3. I'm going to take a look at it. But what this just means is that my second job was almost there. If you come and take a look here, you can see that there's my logo. I'm going to start it up again here. I'm not too sure why that alarm 3 happened, but I'm going to research it, and if I can find an answer, I will definitely share it with you when we get back into the studio and let you know what stopped it. But till then, I'm gonna run the job again, and we'll see what the results are. Guys, as we're doing this final job, I just want to show you that it is pouring rain out there. Look at this. This is my shop, and I'm telling you, it is pouring here. So I'm waiting for this to get done, and then we're going to move back into the studio so we can get out of the rain and we can talk about what we've learned about the Atomstack Maker A30 Pro. All right, I want to show you guys this. This is really interesting. Check this out. So I want to show you this. This is the plate that they gave us as a freebie under the work. And you can see here that the laser actually etched in where it's cut through the piece of wood for the test sign. So you can see the strength of the laser. I was doing some tests before. You can actually, I don't know if you guys can see it with the angle, but you can see the heat is actually kind of distressing the metal plate. As I showed you just before, it's raining, so let's go back into the studio and we're going to discuss what this Atomstack Maker A30 Pro is all about. So thankfully, we're back in the studio after working in the workshop, and as you could see, suddenly the heavens opened up. It became very wet and very cold in a very short period of time. But we were able to assemble the machine and also go through some of the test runs. So let me go through some of the things that I discovered while assembling and operating the Atomstack A30 Pro. First of all, this diode laser has a lot of power. I was incredibly impressed with the results that it was able to achieve straight out of the box. As you saw with the metal backplate that they gave me, you could see the power being absorbed by the plate. I'm actually really keen to see a whole bunch of other materials being used on that machine. I think this machine has a lot of potential, not just for traditional materials like wood or acrylic, but I've got a feeling that with that much power at hand, you're able to explore a whole range of materials as long as they're safe. So before you put a new material onto your laser, make sure to check the safety data sheet first. The other thing that I really liked about this kit was that it didn't take a long time to put together. With this video, I tried to do it in real time, and as I said at the start, I didn't do any research beforehand. I think there are a lot of reviews out there that like to make it all look very simple and perfect and easy to go and kind of edit out some of the problems that happen. I've tried not to do that. I always want to be able to communicate my actual experience, whether the error was on my end or with the way the steps are communicated. I must be honest here. I think that this laser is great for someone who's already had some experience. They understand the laser workflow and have an expectation of what this type of laser can do. I think this is a great kit. Don't know if it's a perfect kit for people who are beginning. If this is your very first laser out of the gate, some of the steps on assembly and what needs to be done weren't terribly clear. If someone bought this kit as their very first laser, I'm a little hesitant to recommend it on that level because there's a few potholes that could really catch you up, especially if you're not familiar with how a laser works. And with a 33 watt laser unit attached to the machine, you could get yourself into trouble really, really quickly. But with that shared, if you happen to want a laser to upgrade and you already have some experience under your belt and you're not afraid of getting your hands dirty and putting a kit together, this laser could definitely open up possibilities for your future laser projects. Now, something else that I want to share was that alarm code, that was alarm 3, that stopped my job the second time I tried to run it. Now, I was able to find an answer for that, and it seems that this is a predominant issue with this type of laser. Now, I didn't have too much time to dig in and actually work out why that happened and how you can resolve the issue, but I did find a code that allowed me to continue with the job. So I've got a feeling that what the code was, and there wasn't too much information about what it actually did on hand when I used it, I believe that it turned that alarm off. So in the future, I'm going to dig a little deeper and release a video about some of the basic alarms that can come up in Lightburn and stop a job cold. And I know, again, if you're a beginner, this could be a kind of a negative experience if you don't know what to do or even where to look to find the result to resolve the issue you're having. Unfortunately, because of the rain and the weather, I wasn't able to go through all the materials that I wanted to test with this machine, but I did want to get this review out as quickly as possible. But keep your eyes peeled to the channel because I am very, very keen to go explore some of the other materials that I have at hand. And I really want to test out this Atomstack A30 Pro to see what the results are with more laser power, but within a diode range. So keep your eyes out for that review coming up. I do want to thank Atomstack for allowing me to review this laser. I think it's very interesting to see how these diode lasers have developed, especially with power and functionality. I know I didn't get a chance to review using a smart device to run the laser, but I didn't want to do it in this review because I want to dig in a little deeper and I want to cover what this can do and what it actually means to the operational workflow for a laser like this. Now, if you want to know more about the Atomstack A30 Pro, go and check the link down in the description below. And if you are keen to get your hands dirty and buy your very own Atomstack A30 Pro, well, there's a link right below that allows you to be able to do that as well. This has been a bit of a longer review. It's not just a review, but also a walkthrough on how to assemble this machine. So I'm going to leave it right there. Until next time, go and check out some of these videos right here. And I'll join you on the laser livestream for our next laser adventure together. Till then, go make something amazing.